Hey, everybody. Let the words of my mouth, the meditations of my heart, the stewardship of these hands be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, our strength and our Redeemer. Thank you for stopping by one more time. We hope we have something that would be said to encourage, to inspire, to awaken. But before I go further today, I want to say this. Unto thee, O Lord, do I lift up my soul. Unto thee, O Lord, do I lift up my soul. O Lord, my God, will I trust in thee? Let me not be ashamed, and let not mine enemies triumph over me. That's the prayer for today. We thank God for being here. We thank God for this time. I got a whole lot of things rolling through my head, and I'm going to cut it as much as I can. I want to start here, but inside it's saying start there. I want to start there, but on the inside it's saying start here. But how about this? First natural, then spiritual. I want to talk about, first and foremost, how good God is. I'm recalling times on one, two, maybe three different jobs in history where when it got quiet, things were going pretty well. I was thankful for what was. That's not to say it was a whole lot of money, but there was a peace down on the inside. So I was fortunate enough to work on jobs where I had quiet times and quiet moments. I'm recalling now, there was this one particular job where I sold window treatment. And at this particular time, I was operating as either a supervisor or a manager. Doesn't matter, the place was empty and I was there. So I began to walk around and I'd look up. I had this thing with ceiling tiles. And if you hang around, you hear more about ceiling tiles. But as I looked up and I would go from room to room of this retail store, this particular store was up north, Chicago, 3000 North off of Clark Street. And I walked around the place and I started talking to God. First of all, letting him know how thankful I was for the job. But then I went on to say, but just in case things don't remain the same here, this is what I would want. And I recall saying to God, I was like, God, the next job I want to have a uniform. I'm tired of wearing my own clothes. I said to God, I was like, God, I don't want to use my own automobile. I want to use somebody else's automobile. And there were a few things that I put out there. And wouldn't you know it, sometime later, those things became a reality. And the other thing I would do in walking around, I'm going to jump around a little bit, but this is pretty much live for me. And like I said, me and this camera, we're still cultivating this relationship. But I remember another job. I was doing security for a number of years, a couple of decades. But anyway, in one of the buildings, I think I could say this building without any repercussions, but in this particular building, it was a Time Life building. I worked there for a number of years. And I remember in the non-common areas, when it got quiet, because the shift I would work, most of the businesses were closed, and I was there until like 12:30, basically in the morning. But I would use those times to just meditate, think, ponder, muse, whatever you want to call it. And I'd look up at those ceiling tiles and I'd walk around and I'd say, God, first and foremost, I thank you for this. But just in case when things change, I didn't specify any things that I wanted. I was like, I want to consume what I'm seeing. because I want to remember that at one time I worked there. Is anybody listening to me? But now I work here. I wanted to remember the journey. The same thing at the company was called Blinds and More. The same thing there. I wanted to remember the journey. And I thought about that, we go, the hustle and bustle of life, and sometimes we forget to observe what's right in front of us. And I was trying very hard to encapsulate the views that I had at these different jobs. I'd look up at the ceiling tiles, I'd count them. I'd count how many are there and how wide. I realized that each tile was about 2 inches wide and 4 feet long, and I said to myself, y'all can talk about me after the fact, that if I ever get an office, I'd count how many tiles in the offices I would go to in doing the survey of the site, and I'd count how it's like this about the size of office I want. I look at the tiles and I count them. Again, I'm mapping out what wasn't now for what could be later. I wanted to remember. And when I think about biblically the people of Israel as they were being delivered out of captivity, the land of Egypt, and what was in the Ark of the Covenant, some of those things were memorials of where they were, where they had been. I wanted that for myself. And I wasn't even thinking of what I just said now, but I just wanted to memorialize the places I had been and to speak into existence those things I wanted God to do. Because I always held on the inside before I started saying the words, the best is yet to come, that we're not going to always be where we are. And we have to have that mindset. Now, with that said, I got a few notes that I wrote down. I don't know exactly how this is going to go. I said to Renee, Renee, I don't know. I think we should wait another day because this thing I have in my mind is not setting well. I want it to go to the left, and it's taking me right. And once I explain, then you'll understand what I mean. But before I go further, I want to give praise and glory to God on the first job that I mentioned. The window treatment company. Some that know me have heard this testimony because that's what it is. Again, I don't know what High C is evolving to. They say, High C, what is High C? Hype Central. I don't know what ultimately we're evolving into, but God is going to be glorified along the way. Come on, who's following me on this journey? To give glory and praise and honor to God, I want to talk about what God did for me concerning that very job that I spoke of first. That's not I think it's in the notes somewhere, but as it's in my mind, I'm going to give you the things as I see them in my mind. This company I had been with a number of years. Actually, Renee had worked there for a couple of years herself at one of their establishments. But anyway, this particular year, they decided they were going to close. And they came to me, they pulled me to the side. So I guess I must have been above supervisor at the time. I must have been one of the managers by then. They pulled me to the side and they said, Charles, we're going to shutter our stores. And I was like, what? What was going on? I knew business had slowed down. Basically, Blinds and More, they dealt in stock blinds. They did custom drapery, custom blinds. There are a couple of celebrities that came through. I won't name right now, but I had the opportunity to wait on one. But anyway, during this period of time, they said, we're shuttering the stores. And I was like, well, all right. And they said, we'd like you to help us. What they didn't say is deal with the customers, because that was a major part of it. But dealing with all the facets involved in shuttering their businesses. But this store in particular. So I agreed. What they added to that verbiage was, Charles, you don't have to worry about a job. You will have one. I was like, okay, I took it at face value. So I guess over a period of, let's just say 30 days, it started getting quiet. You had a couple of irate customers that we had to deal with. And then the day came one of the family members of the company came to the store where I was, and she said, well, Charles? I was like, yeah. She said, I want you to know they're turning none of us away at unemployment. I said, hold up, wait a minute. That is not what you said to me. You said that I would have a position, had nothing to be concerned about, you would be all right. And then she bowed her head, and I could see the disappointment on her face, but she says, no, they're closing all the stores, and none of us are going to have a job, but they're not turning anyone away from unemployment. And I was like, well, all right. At this particular time, I believe Renee had moved on to another business somewhere she was working. So in my mind, she was either working or at home at the time, but in my mind, I'm thinking, this is not the news I want to give to Miss Mans. You know, I think all the kids were still at home at the particular time. This was just one child at the home. She's correcting me, y'all. Y'all know how ladies do. But anyway, the day had come. She said we were closing down. But in my mind, I didn't want to give Renee the news that now I'm not going to have, any money coming in. That in my mind, that's the way I work. I'm thinking about the gift of the job. But yes, we have to go to work and all of that, but we go there for a reason. And that's a paycheck, correct? So I was looking ahead and not seeing that paycheck, and I wasn't ready to tell her anything about it that day. So on this particular day, if I be not mistaken, it was a Friday. I'm going to get to where I'm going to, everybody. Bear with me. It was a Friday, and I went home, and I probably said a couple of words to myself, to our Creator, and moved on. But the next morning, mind you, I hadn't said anything to Renee. The next morning, I was awakened. And this is what I heard. I noticed on some of the films, I looked at some of the films, listened to what I said, and I always touch my right ear. Today, I'm not going to touch any ear. But I heard, I heard the words, get up, put this shirt on, put these slacks on, and put this tie on. And as you've heard me say before, the first thing I said is, wait a minute. It's Saturday. Who goes for a job? I forgot to say that. I was told to go to a job. I'm not going to tell you what the job is yet. I was told to go to this specific place and to wear these specific clothes, and you're going today. So I'm being myself. I said, who looks for a job on a Saturday morning? So I lay back in the bed. When I used to lay in the bed, I can't do it today for whatever reason. Once I'm up, I'm up. I don't entertain the pillow and the mattress. I'm out of that bed.
At 3 a.m.
But anyway, I said, who goes to work look for a job on a Saturday morning? But the pressure, the nudge would not let up. It said, get up. So after a while, I got up. I got the slacks I was told to put on. When I used to wear slacks, y'all probably see on all the videos, all I have is jeans, and I didn't start wearing jeans until a few months ago. I put a white professional shirt on, and I got a tie. And I went to the place that I was told to go to. When I got to the place, I walked in the door. I walked in the door and I saw a rep walking by. I said, excuse me, my name is Charles Mans and I'd like to apply for a position with your organization. And they said, I'm sorry.